Now always have this sentence. Okay, hi, thanks for coming live with us today. This is Felicia here again. Today we are honored and happy to have the first guy speaker, Patrick Sung. Yeah, let me just introduce him as well. Give me a minute to share screen.
Have you shared to Facebook Live?
On Facebook Live already, it's on my wall.
Oh, okay.
Okay, this is May already, as we were talking about as well. This is the 5th webinar that I'm holding. The topic, Better You, Better Mom, is with Patrick. We are happy to have Patrick here today. He's a sales director. And his topic today is effective co-parenting after marriage ends. Once again, I'm Felicia, the author, speaker, and fulfillment coach. I had actually written 3 books on my pregnancy, being the first 2 was actually about my miscarriage. And then subsequently now I have my rainbow baby. His name is Dominic, and his name is Titus. And I'm thankful to have him after like 10 years of marriage, and we welcome him in June 2015. Okay, and of course here Patrick Sung, he is a sales director. He's also a proud father of 4 boys and enjoys spending time with them. He is also known to his friends being a 24/7 dad and a very hands-on father on his journey. And likewise, of course, in his fatherhood, he faced a lot of challenges. And when he had to end his first marriage, and subsequently with his older boys being only 2 and 4 years old. So that was a very difficult decision that he had to make back then. And that was like 8 years back already. So now Patrick is passionate about sharing his life experiences on how to co-parent after divorce and how divorced parents or even parents in the marriage ending process can still work together in putting a child or children interest first before self. Without further ado, let's welcome Patrick. Hello, Patrick. Good to have you today.
Hey.
How have you been?
Good. Yeah, been a busy day.
Okay.
Thanks for inviting, and honored to be your first male guest speaker.
No worries, no worries. I suppose you will give us a lot of insight to what has been ongoing so far, and of course from the past 8 years that you mentioned. So maybe you like to share with us how or when did it happen and how it affects the co-parenting in the process?
Yeah. In fact, I think this is probably the first time I'm considered publicly speaking about my divorce. But just to clear, my focus here is about co-parenting. So I'll just briefly touch on. It happened in 2013. It's a mutual agreement between myself and my ex-wife. I would say probably there are some challenges in our marriage, probably in terms of communications, and probably even the way we brought up are different. And also because of that, the way we chose to raise our kids are also different. So in the process, there are challenges and conflicts. So mutually, we decide that it's better that we still being parents of our 2 boys, just that we do not have to stay married. Yeah. So I wouldn't say it's a happy divorce, because nobody would. I wouldn't see any couple hand in hand going to the divorce lawyer office. But there's definitely, I'm sure people who have gone through divorce will tell you it's not an easy process, especially when you have children. So I think in any divorce, you have to settle the kids first. So I'm happy that we are able to settle the kids. How in Singapore it's like that, right? If when you have kids, you always they put into a mandatory counseling so that you can settle for the children, who is going to be the do the care and control. and who will be doing the visitation. So that's the first thing that you need to put in. Unless, of course, both parents cannot agree, then they have to go for trial and things like that, which is going to be quite messy and traumatizing for the children. So we chose the path. So in the end, she got the care and control, and I would have the visitation because I was traveling a lot. So given that circumstances and also her parents are much younger than mine, was able to take care while she's working, as versus my parents are in the 70s then. I was talking about 8 years ago. Yeah, so I think taking the interest of the children first, we decided she had the care and control, and I had the visitation rights. So just to be very clear, probably 80-90% of the divorce, once you have children, both will have the same share of custody, which is like 50-50, which means I'm still, even though I'm not staying with them on a day-to-day basis, I will still have equal share of in terms of health, education, blah, 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 equal responsibility as a parent. Yeah.
Yep, you mentioned about the responsibility with your ex-wife. So how do you really work that out, or even share the responsibility that you are talking about?
Yeah, it's a very interesting. So first, in the counseling session, then we have to decide. So once you have decided, as I mentioned, once you have decided who had the care and control, which because it's quite not possible to say. Initially we were talking like, okay, 50%, but practically it's not practically it's quite challenging, right? Because initially we're thinking of like 137, 1357, the other one 2256, 246, which is not possible because logistically it's challenged because they're going to school. You can't one day be at this home and the other home. So we obedience. So at that time we kind of give proposal, right? So of course I had requested my time in the proposal. So for mine, it was really putting down in a black and white, very specifically that I would take all the Sundays, and then this subsequent weekend, bi-weekly, I will have like the Saturday and Sunday, so the kids will have the stay over, which was very important at that time. And then I have one weekday, I think it's on a Wednesday, so we can have dinner with them, so that it doesn't disrupt their, at the time they were still at childcare. So and this arrangement is still we're still able to follow this arrangement till today. So I'm quite happy that, of course, not all the time we can follow that schedule, because sometimes during school holidays, when she wants to bring the children for holidays, I will have like makeup session, right? If let's say this weekend is disrupted, the next month I will give another weekend and things like that. And likewise, if I have to travel, say back to back, and over a weekend, this particular weekend I cannot pick them up, and she's happy to kind of like compensate me with another weekend. So in that sense, we are able to work out a very mutually agreed schedule, and this is all black and white in the divorce paper, or we call it the affidavits. Yeah.
Okay, so it's actually all written in black and white.
Yeah. Yeah, there are options. There are options whether you want to put in the black and white or not. And I feel that it's good for me and for her, right? So that we are being binded to our agreement, rather than so I know there's some family or divorced family where they say, okay, you can, as and when, you can come and pick up and that kind of thing. So we don't think that will work because, over time, I've heard cases where either father or mother, they didn't came to pick up their children. They didn't do the visitation. All right. Or the other way around is that somehow, after the divorce, they still have issues, and the parent which had the care and control did not allow the other spouse to visit. So it's for convenience and to make sure that everything is written black and white, and also keep as a schedule, so that so my boys have been doing that, and they know that okay, Sunday daddy's going to come, right? Subsequent weekend daddy's going to come on Saturday, and then every Wednesday we had dinner together. So it's becoming like there's a schedule. You want your kids to have a timetable, so that they are expecting. Now the children, they're very smart. They're expected that, hey, daddy is coming, so they have regular schedule. So you don't say, oh, suddenly this weekend you want to come over, then they're not expecting that. So kids like now, they need to have a timetable, right? Even as young, they have lunchtime, this study time, play time. So the same thing for visitation, right? So we schedule that, even for holidays, public holidays. So each of us, we had one, I think we have 14, 13 or 12 holiday per year. So we have 7 holidays each. So everything, as fair as possible, as transparent as possible, so that like Chinese New Year, she has the day 1, I had the day 2, that kind of thing is quite fixed. So we have been following that, what we have set down and written down since day 1, and so far it's been working very well for us. Yeah.
It's very interesting that you share, because of course, ideally for the children, it's good to have the fixed schedule and whatever not. But having said so, children being children, I'm sure there are times whereby they throw tantrums. Then they say, I want to see daddy on Wednesday or Thursday. Why I have to wait till Saturday or Sunday? I'm sure such scenario does pops up.
I guess maybe for other family, because when the divorce happened, they were pretty young. They were only at 4 and 2, right? Jaden was 4 and Michael was 2. So I think at that age, they didn't really know, that the 2 one is definitely out. He doesn't really know anything. So the 4 one is like, he knows a bit and he didn't know. He tried to explain to him. So the good thing, okay, I wouldn't say the good thing. I think the thing is that they were young when we started this process. So they were kind of like used to having this momentum, right? Having this timetable. And so far, they didn't really say that, oh, they want to see me on Tuesday or another day. Of course, they do that, oh, Sunday, 6 o'clock already, I need to go back. Then they were like, I want to stay here longer,
Yeah.
Then we said that, no, we have to stick to schedule and things like that. So we have to explain to them why we have this schedule, so that, you have 2 days here already. It's time to spend time with mommy for dinner, Sunday dinner, things like that. Yeah. So I think as they get older, I think, and then we explain to them, and also because we started the process when they are much younger, so it was easy for them to get into the
schedule and routine.
The schedule and routine. But I will assume, I think you have a very good question. I think if they are, say, a little older, say 8, like now they are 10 and 12, then I think it might be tough. Yeah. Because 8 and 10, they are considered pretty older kids already. I'm pre-teens and they know a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Because I'm sure the initial transition is always the hardest. and of course, you know, the know-how, what to do, not to do. So how do you deal with it in the beginning before the transition, and let alone like what you say, the young boys. So it's like, yeah.
Okay, I wouldn't say the whole process was so smooth. Initially, I really met with really difficult time to get access to them, despite we have settled down. Because so if you look at the divorce process, right? So they would always settle the children first, right? And then the court will give you a temporary judgment with that visitation, so that in that process of divorce, which took us about a year plus, you still can follow that schedule that we set earlier on. So during the process, of course, you know, it's never a nice thing to happen, because, you know, we have our everyday exchange, and sometimes there are conflicts even during the exchange of the everyday bits, right? She'll write something and I'll counter something, or likewise. So in that process, there was a short period where I didn't have access, you know, didn't have access. But then with that interim judgment, you know, she know that she can't stop me from the visitation, you know. So I'm glad that we had that black and white, you know, because I could have make something more legal to, you know, go into the family court and say, hey, look, I have the interim judgment of this visitation, yet my spouse did not allow me to do that. So yeah, so this is also something that divorcing parents would want to consider, you know, that say if you are planning to do it, it's always good to have a schedule, so that you are not saying doing something, you promise something, you have remade a plan, and then because after you have settled the schedule, you still have your divorce continue, right? You have your other things, your assets, and blah blah blah, which might take long, you know, if you are contesting each other. So during that process is always the difficult part. So if you have that black and white list now, you know, because you see, I always believe that divorce is between the husband, the two spouses, like the husband and the wife, right? So it should not involve or affect the children. So it should always put the children first before self. So just a little bit more detail. So initially, when I put in the divorce paper, I was actually the one you know, put in to ask for the care and control. So now I think back, I think probably is a little bit selfish, because at the time I would have accessed that, given the situation where she had better help, which she had help from her parents as versus me, and while my job required me to travel quite a fair bit, you know, it's a little bit selfish for me to wanted that care and control. Yeah. So that was the initial part, but subsequently I realized that yeah, I think for the for the benefits, you know, of the children, not to disrupt their schedule, I mean, my ex-wife parents were great grandparents as well, so I think they can be very good help. Yeah. So yeah, so it didn't took me long to realize, and I said, okay, I'll agree. She will take the care and control, and I'll do the visitation. So yeah, so this is something that I think all parents, because at the start everybody want very emotional, everybody want to have the children, but they have to really think which benefit the kids more. So that's why I said putting the children first, then self. Yeah.
So you mentioned that yeah, whatever the schedule, routines or agreement is written in black and white. So meaning to say, if you want to change that, are you supposed to go back to court to make changes or?
Yeah, it's a good question. So if you want to make changes and if you are in good talking terms with your ex-spouse, you can always do that. Yeah. But let's say I have known some divorce are really ugly that they can't really communicate. They have to communicate through lawyers. Yeah. So if you have reached that circumstances, then you have to make those changes through the court. Yeah. So in terms of for us, I think the good thing is that we are still in talking terms in terms of scheduling and talking about the health, education. For example, when they went to primary 1, we communicated. We should jointly go and do their registration. When one of them were sick, hospitalized, we should how we going to share our responsibility, who's going to take care, or you spend the first night, I second night, things like that. So in terms of the children wise, from the taking care of the children perspective, the wellness, the health, the education, I think we are very clear that we put the children interest first, and then the other things we can settle amicably between ourselves. So for us, coming back to your question, we in terms of schedule, we did manage to not don't have to go to court to change the schedule. Yeah, even to till now, every month I would send her, okay, this is my schedule. This is the time, this is the date. We try to fix it as much as what is the original schedule. But sometimes it's not possible. Yeah. But I think for this period of COVID-19, I think it's quite clear. It is very clear because I'm not traveling, but before COVID, because of my traveling schedule, so every month can look different from previous month. And then of course, I mentioned earlier, when there are holidays or school holidays, and if she's bringing the children to overseas, then we can make minor adjustment. Yeah, not a problem. Yeah. So I think that has been continued, we have been doing that for the past 8 years, which is great.
Yep. Thanks for the sharing. But also moving forward, I understand now you have a new family and also with the twin boys. So how does it work out? Initially, of course, maybe telling your current wife that you actually have the 2 boys from the previous marriage.
Yeah. So I didn't really, okay, because we have mutual friends, you see, because we knew each other for quite some time. So she found about my new babies. They just turned 1, I think through mutual friends. I think I don't think there's a need to inform her, but I did inform because when the kids came over, right, and saw my wife pregnant, and then I said, hey, look, see, you have going to be brothers again. You have 2 more brothers and things like that. So they're quite excited. In fact, my twins, the names were given by by Michael, which is my second child. Wow. Yeah. So I said, hey, you got do you have any suggestion for twin names that rhymes? So eventually he gave Ethan and Nathan, and I was happy that it was part of the naming process. And today he was very proud, to say, hey, your name is given by me and things like that. Yeah. So they were quite happy. And so to be very honest, I also was very not sure what was their reaction then, right? Because I remember when they were younger, right, and when I was carrying other people's, when they are younger, like maybe they're in their 4 and 6, that age. When I was carrying somebody, went for people's
baby showers.
right? I was carrying other people's baby or some children. They were crying and they were quite jealous. So I was like, oh dear. So what will happen, because they think that, oh, I'm going to share daddy with some other kids, right? But so it turned out they're quite cool about it. Yeah, they're quite cool about it. Yeah. So we did like, sometimes when you had, because I had an experience of the first boy and then the second boy. My first boy, Jaden, he was very jealous of Michael when he was born. I mean, even from he's from the same parent. He was very jealous, right? We tried all things. And when he was born, we gave a present and say, look, this is from your brother and things like that, Obviously, it's from us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this time around, we did the same thing, We say, we gave them, go for them a little gift and say, this is from your twin brother, And then, sort of works for them. Yeah.
Okay, very interestingly, also, I think because you mentioned now with the COVID situation, because normally all of us go out and enjoy. And now with COVID, we are all stuck at home. And when the boys come, like how does the family works around with the dynamics?
Yeah, so we used to so from when we started when after divorce, I was single, so I was spending quite a lot of time with them, a lot of outdoor. So that, of course, there was no COVID then. So we spent a lot of time outdoor cycling and things like that. And even after my remarriage, which is, let me see, 3 years ago, or even before I remarried, I was with my wife at the time, my girlfriend then. We went out together, we went go karting, beach, we went Sentosa, we went everywhere, just short of overseas trip, because they were too young. We were not sure we can handle them. So we did everything together with my current wife. Even after we were married, we went out together. So my two twins were born during last year, during the COVID period. So when they came over, we were just they only three main things, like they're playing among themselves, the two boys, because the gap difference is too big. It's not possible to sort of interact, because the age gap is quite big. So most of the time they were here, they were doing their tuitions. They're doing their tuitions, their homework. So I told the mom, and the mom also brought some assignment for them. And we play board games, we play computer games. We did some simple sports like rollerblading just around the neighborhood, that sort of things. Yeah. So so when they are here, so the thing is that when they are here, I probably spend I'm still spending like probably close to 90% of the time with them, right? Because there's no point, I brought the two boys here and I'm still spending time with the baby. So I'm glad also my current wife is also very understanding about this. Yeah, about the whole soul situation. I think you have a question on that later. So my wife is quite might as well talk about it now. So my wife, when I knew her, when we were dating, she knew about my situation. She also knew about the standing agreement, the pickup schedule. So she's quite cool about it, and she feel, oh yeah, well, it's time with your boys. Why not? And even she, as I mentioned earlier, she joined our activities together. at that time. But of course now it's really hard. Even we can't fit everybody into the car right now. Of course, with the helper and I have my mother-in-law here to help out as well, it's very hard to go out, and we didn't want to go out at
Also,
this point.
Yep.
Also because we
too small.
right, you see, look at now the third wave, and we try to get out, we try to stay at home as much as possible.
True.
Yeah.
So, but having said so, moving forward, I'm very glad to hear that actually my wife is very cool about it and readily accepting and also into the schedule. I think that's very admirable, like, frankly. To have a wife accepting on your previous marriage and even the previous children, welcome them into her home or your home, so to speak. So I'm very thankful for that also, to know that moving forward, there's still obviously you still can have a happy marriage, a happy family, and still enjoy the times with your boy, the previous marriage. But moving forward, what is the something that you would want to change, or what is the one thing you want to stay stagnant or continue? What is the one thing that you may feel if you have done differently, what would have happened or something like that?
I think moving forward, I think per status quo, I mean, right now, I would say my elder boys, they are so used to be indoor. I want them to be involved more outdoor. Hopefully after the COVID-19, yeah. And also when they grow up, I also hope they had an opportunity to bring them overseas together as a family, as with my current children. But I think now I think back, it might be a very logistically challenged idea. So we'll see how. I don't have expectation, right? Because now they are in their pre-teens. So even when my two twins are old enough to travel, hopefully we can travel by then in a few years' time. They are probably in their teens already, and they already probably had their own friends, right? So something that I probably has really expected, as a parent. I think regardless you're divorced or not, as your children start growing up into the teens and late teens, they probably had their friends. This doesn't matter whether you are divorced or not. Even as a parent, I have seen a lot of my friends. Some of them they are married, especially my female classmates, which has children even in university with this. But I did see them that when they are going to their late teens, they have friends, their own friends already. And then a weekend, they have their own friends, some have girlfriends, some have boyfriends, they have their own activities. They didn't want to go out as much as a family. So I think something that we'll expect probably another 3 or 4 months when they are late teens, they may not want to come over. If I want to pick up, they may have their own activities. So what I hope was to at least keep per status quo, right? And then when they also grow up, there's more flexibility to catch up with them, not just on weekend, because by the time they are late teens, they would have their own preferred timing. They may not want to stick to this timing, because when they are more mobile, they can travel on their own really. Because now it's very much, I'm still picking them up from my ex-wife's place and then bring to my place. So when they're older, they're more mobile, they can own public transport. I can pick them up anytime, yeah, things like that. So now they're still young and pretty much protected, yeah.
I think if you really bring out a very good point, it's also when they are in their late teens lah. So would they still want to come over?
Yeah, exactly.
Have, like, parents, father-son bonding with them, and also with your two younger ones. But having said so, would you ask your elders to help take care of the twins, like even changing diapers or feeding? You?
I don't have that expectation. Other expectation. Um, I think I'll be happy if they can get along well. Obviously, now they are not interacting because of the age,
Of course.
and because my two elder boys started able to walk, and then the two younger boys, they are very curious of the older boys when they come, and they were enjoying looking at them playing games and doing what they, babies are that they like they are very interested in other older kids. So I'm still observing how they behave and how the older boys respond. But two older boys, their characters are quite different. One is slightly more susceptible to the younger boy. The other one is not so much. It's like, hey, don't disturb me, that kind of thing. so I think also quite interesting to see how they interact. Yeah, I didn't want to say, hey, forcefully say you must accept, or I'll just set its course and just, certain things I can guide them. I'll try to, but they did try to play with the babies. It's like, why like that? They squeeze the stomach, squeeze the cheek and things like that. So it's good to see them interacting also. Yeah. But not playing because of the age gap. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think now it's more taking care of the two twins. So you'll be, I think, interesting to see how they go.
I'm spending a lot of time, with this COVID, because I'm working from home. I'm spending really a lot of time with them, usually in the evening, because I still have to work during the so-called office hours, but I had the luxury to spend some time with them during breakfast, lunch. As compared, if you are going to office, you don't have that extra lunch time, play time with the children, and depending on the load as well. So because, as I mentioned, I used to travel quite a fair bit. So now a lot of time is saved, not traveling to work and not traveling to other countries, have more work-life balance. And weekdays will be more time with the two twins, and then the weekend boys come over, I have more time with them.
So with this pandemic, because you're forced to work from home, but having said so, when the pandemic is over, would you prefer to be back traveling, or would you prefer to still work locally here?
Because the nature of my business, because I'm in the medical diagnostic field, and I've been doing regional for the past more than 10 years in APAC. So I'm taking care of the Asia business. I probably will get back to my travel schedule. Yeah, because I'm not doing B2C, so I'm not being, I manage distributors. I don't work with the end user, which is users. So I still have to travel a fair bit, for business meeting, customer visit. Yeah. And unless I change my job to a more localized business, which I think quite unlikely. It depends. I cannot, as per status code, I probably be back to traveling. Yeah, so I probably will miss, probably have less time with the children.
Because now you have 4 children to handle.
Yeah,
if you're hectic traveling, I think it will be very challenging, right?
Probably will be more for the younger ones, because when I travel, I usually keep to my Monday to Friday schedule. So I'll usually fly on a Monday and back on a Friday. So for my elder boys, because I already only had the weekend, the luxury of having the weekend, so I will not travel on weekend unless it's really necessary, and probably a few times in a year, so that the weekend are not affected. Yeah, probably will be affecting more on my twins, because then I'll be traveling more on the weekdays. Yeah, but So the good thing is that, in fact, what I said was that the COVID actually, COVID started March, right? March last year, and the boys were born April. In fact, I would think that when I look back, I think that the COVID situation works well in my situation. Because of COVID, I have to be desk bound at home. I wasn't traveling, so I was able to help out. Luckily, I have my helper, I have my mother-in-law here in Singapore to help out also, and my wife is also working from home. So we have this family unit, and I was able to help out more on playing. I'm the supermarket guy at home. I'm the one who did the grocery most of the time, going to e-commerce website, Lazada, Shopee, all that, Amazon, to buy all the food stuff, the frozen food and fresh food. Yeah, so I'm the logistic guy, like, okay, need to go and buy something for the baby. So I'm the one who did all the shopping and purchasing. So I'm the logistic guy, when it comes to even down to the milk bottle, which brand to buy, because I would say I'm quite experienced in that sense. Because most of this kind of thing is usually done by the mom, right? Yeah, I'm also the one that will join some of the Facebook page for new parents. You go inside, all our mothers. I'm one of the few fathers in there. So I actually enjoy doing that. So yeah, so coming back, I did mention that, yeah, the COVID did situation was to my advantage because I didn't have to travel. So I had the luxury to help out. I had the luxury to watch their growing up. I think from day one to the first year, where there's a lot of firsts, right? The first two, the first claw, the first walk. I was very lucky to witness all this precious moment because I was at home for most of the time. And yeah, so the COVID worked well for us because, like for example, last year, April was a circuit breaker, so nobody can get out of the house, right? A lot of the shops were closed, so it works out for us, and we didn't feel, especially my wife, we didn't feel that, when she's confined, right, during a confinement period, right, everyone is confined with her. So we didn't feel that we miss out or lose out anything, right? Because everybody was confined as well. So we also got confined.
Balance. So you feel more balanced, you feel. Okay, Ken. I think it's nice chatting with you, and you share a lot of insights, be it with the previous children to take care of, and also with current marriage and current family, young twins born to share, which I'm very thankful that I think in this COVID, which is true lah, some of us, we have the luxury to spend more family time, but having said so, it also created more conflicts, more quarrels within the house, fighting for iPad, laptops, even fighting.
Fortunately, that issue.
Yeah, for your twins.
We even between my wife, we have own space. I have my own study room. We will manage to one of the room that we meant as a storeroom, as a study room, as work office for my wife as well. So we didn't have to fight for anything, and yeah, quite happy, quite peaceful, and quite blessed that I have a good helper, and my mother-in-law was here as well to help out, even from the start of the pregnancy, because she had a very difficult pregnancy. So I think during the first trimester, she really started to work from home, and because she had difficult pregnancy, so her mom is here since then until today. She's still doing it. So I'm glad we had two very helpful person. Else, things might be a bit challenging. It will be very chaotic.
Okay, okay, thanks. Before we end, is there anything that you want to add on or anything you want to share?
Yeah, so I think what I want to share is just advice, as I mentioned in my opening statement, why I'm happy to be in your invited guest, because I want to share my story, and especially for families who are already divorced with family or planning to divorce or already in the process. I think it's important to, if you can't agree with each other, but at least I think it's important to put the children first before self, right? Because you don't want your children to be in your marriage. You still want them to, happily knowing that they have their daddy and mommy with them, though they are not together, but they still enjoy both the love and share and concern. So my advice is to at least, not for the other things, maybe you can't accept each other's proposal on, say, the splitting of the assets and things like that, but at least for the children, for the sake of children, have it, how to say, the arrangement have a mutual that think for the well-being and putting the children first before self. So I think that is important, and when I'm happy that I've managed to work through that for the last 8 years, and it's been very useful to have that schedule from the start, and things have been working very well. So this is one of the advice that I can provide. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Let me just share screen again. Okay, as you can see. Okay, as mentioned, we are from Better You, Better Mom. So our topics is always surrounding self-care, couple, children, parenting, and even family care. So our next month speaker would actually be Audrey, Miss Audrey Out, on 22nd June. She'll be sharing on the topic of the tips to achieve your personal goal. Okay, and likewise, of course, the sponsorship for my first book on Chinese translation, if you can support us on that. And last but not least, of course, if anyone wants to speak to me, if you feel stuck in terms of your life challenge, or you wanted to make a change but don't know how, drop me a PM and we can always connect. Okay, last but not least, I just want to end with this quote of mine. So the journey of finding your rainbow after braving the storm is what truly makes our life meaningful. Okay, and thank you.
Okay, thank you, Felicia, for inviting me. Really appreciative, and glad that I can be your show to share my experience. So very much. Have a good evening.
You too.